Okay, let's break down this year's 9-10 Concert Band Timpani Etude. So, tempo's not too fast, 76. The 30-second notes are a little brisk, but nothing too bad at all. And let's talk for a second about tuning before we really break into it. So, there's two ways you can think about it. You've got minor third G flat to A, minor third A to C, and then fourth C to F. So if you want to think of like a White Stripes Seven Nation Army, you know, bum, 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 right? The first two notes of that can be a good way to think about getting those intervals. The other way I like to think about it is ACF is a F arpeggio inverted, right? So I'm thinking an arpeggio and then just getting the G flat there at the end. Either of those ways will be effective. So what I like to do here at the beginning, I like to start just a little bit under mezzo forte and crescendo these 30-second notes. Okay? Then the second half of the measure, nice and mezzo. But then on the second measure, I'm gonna, because it's accent, I'm gonna start loud and then lay into the decrescendo. Then back to the crescendo. Okay, now I'm going with the sticking on the triplet, right, 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 left, right. Make sure not to accent that roll. So we're thinking triplet, tripa, right? And then just the tiniest of pauses at the end of the roll so I can get effectively to the 30-second notes at the end of the measure. Okay, then I'm going to push over to the C. When I hit these accented rolls, I'm not going to forte piano it from a volume standpoint, but I am going to put just a little bit of separation between the accent and the beginning of the roll just to kind of accentuate that accent just a little bit to make it stand out just a little bit more. So I'm kind of going. So it's almost like I'm taking out like that first left of the roll. Just to give it just a little bit of space. Not as much as a forte piano, which we'll get to later, but just the tiniest bit of space. Okay? Make sure you're muting your eighth rest. 2 drums. Right there, to not have to cross or push, I'm going to do a diddle at the end. This is measure 5. So I'm going to go right, left, right, left, right, left, right, right. Mute. Still thinking of that crescendo sort of vibe for the 30-second notes, just to give it a little bit of shape and musicality. Then I've got 2 accented rolls. If you caught, I'm muting the G flat when I hit the C. Then mute both. When I get to measure 9, I'm going to play the 30-second notes off the left hand so I can get to the rolls easier. Okay? So that's the one spot where I'm going to do left hand lead. Then on these triplets in measure 10, I'm going to shape it a little bit. I'm going to start a little under, crescendo, up, down. Okay, making sure that I accent the A at the end. Then we have our forte piano roll. So you do want to give that a space. And then I'm as loud as I'm going to be in this etude. Forte at measure 12. Okay? This is going to be pretty straightforward, just loud. Okay? You can put a little bit of arm into it if you want. Then I'm going to slowly decrescendo all the way to the end here. Taking my time because I got a little ways to go. Then mute the 16th on the G flat. Then mute the A. Now I'm going to hold this last roll just a little bit longer than a whole note because it is a fermata. I'm going to slow my roll speed down as well, just to kind of perpetuate that decrescendo a little bit more. Okay. One thing about these 30-second notes as well, have you ever heard of a staccato style stroke? So what I'm doing is I'm squeezing my pointer and my thumb just a little bit to get a little bit more staccato. So if I'm playing normal, or if I play with staccato, here I'm getting a little bit more punch and attack there. I am using slightly softer mallets than maybe I normally would here because I know a lot of you won't have access to harder mallets, or you just have your general like T3 staccatos or the innovative equivalent or whatever. I'm using the Vic Firth Tim Genis hard tonal, the Gen 6. So it's a staccato, but it's not the most staccato. So you might have to do some things like that staccato stroke to really get out the articulation, unless you can find like a slightly harder mallet, like something felt or something like that. Hope this helps.